Okay, guys, I'm here today with Oliver Neubrand and Bob Bolognesi. I'm gonna let them go ahead and introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Hi,
Oliver.
my name is Oliver Neubrand. I'm coming from Germany. We have a Rottweiler kennel, quite famous in Germany, one of the oldest active kennels in Germany. We have been quite successful over the last decades. We produced several show champions, several working champions, and it's a pleasure to be back here in Riverside, California, with my good friends, the Bolognesi family.
So I'm Bob Bolognesi, owner and founder of von Ruelmann Rottweilers. We've been continuously breeding for the past 40 years. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, continuously breeding kennel in the United States, and one of the oldest in the world. We've produced many champions, many Untitled dogs. Our dogs can be found around the world in just about every country in the world. We've produced champions in many, many countries around the world.
And this is a relationship going for the last.
Yeah, we've been friends and partners with Oliver and his family for more than 30 years. We've had the pleasure of owning many of his top dogs that we are blessed to have been able to get, that he's allowed us to own. And we've been very successful with integrating those into our breeding program.
Okay, Bob. So when and who was the first dog you purchased from the Neubrand family?
So I think it goes back to late 80s, early 90s. A dog named Valo von Haus Neubrand. That was the first dog, and then it goes on and on from there.
The next one was.
Next one was
Valo, your original dealings was with
Alphonse. Yeah,
who is
his father.
Oliver's father.
Yeah, so we've known the family a long time.
The next dealing
Next dogs was probably the next dog I brought in was Othello von Haus Neubrand, which.
And that was on all. That was your first dealing with Oliver.
Yeah,
on his
yes, Oliver was about 17 back in those days.
His first trip to the United States.
First trip to the United States was at the IFR in what year?
1996.
96. So we showed Othello there, and then we went on to do a lot of stuff with Othello. He was American champion. He was best of breed, best in show winner in AKC show ring, Schutzen 3, Seeger, was USRC national Seeger. Again, best in specialty show. He went back to Germany. He was the highest placing American-owned dog at that time. He was third in the Seeger class, which was an accomplishment that was difficult to do back in those days, right? At the club show. Yes, that was very hard at those days. So then we had Xanto, his son.
Hold on, let's Oliver. Can you say a little something on Othello?
Yes, of course. Was extremely successful dog back in these days. He was several times in the top 4 in the Club Sieger show. That's the most prestigious and most important Rottweiler show in the world. He always presented himself in a great shape and with a very great attitude in these events. And even after coming back from the United States to Germany, he did achieve, like Bob said, top placing in the Club Sieger show. In the champion class, which was not happening before at that time. So that was a great start into a great partnership.
And the next dog was his son, right?
I then got Xanto von Haus Neubrand, which was Othello's son. Also very beautiful, successful Schutzen 3 dog. He was a Canadian national Seeger. He was a very successful dog.
So Oliver, when he was in Germany, put the Schutzen 3 on him.
Yes.
And when you obtained him is when he got his Canadian
Yeah,
championship.
then we showed him and was very successful with him when we showed him too.
And he went, after you owned him, he went back to the club show?
He went back to the club show, yes. I don't remember what year, but I believe he did very well too. He was 6th place, something like that.
How many dogs do you think was in that class?
I don't know.
40 dogs in the
Yeah,
class.
40 dogs in the class. Again, something very hard to do in those days.
As an American-owned
As an American dog to bring back, it wasn't done in those days.
Yeah. So then it went into the next dogs was probably Dandy.
Tough von Haus Neubrand was the next dog. Yeah, tough. A dog that was a very special style in those days. Oliver was ahead of his time, and the dog had a style that was the style of today. You didn't see the big head, short, broad muzzle, beautiful color. So again, a dog ahead of its time, as Othello was too, and Xanto. They were
How
all
old was
dogs.
Tough when you got when?
I think Tough was
Oliver
about
got
19
home?
months when I got him.
19 months.
Yeah.
He ended up being one of the most baseline of your kennel, right?
Yeah, very Baloo son,
Bloodlines.
which many people thought was one of the best Baloo sons, if not the best Baloo son at that time in the world. So yeah, and Baloo was not around so much in his older age. So I mean, yeah, it was. Everybody came to him because they thought, yeah, this is the best Baloo son around.
What do you remember? Anything special with Tough?
Yes, Tough was, of course, in these days, a spectacular dog. I think he still would be a spectacular dog in these days today.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years later. Almost.
20 years later, he was one of the first dogs with this modern style. In my opinion, the best Baloo son, yes. Not only because he's from my kennel, but I have not seen another one like that. There were a lot of good dogs because Baloo was a super producer. We liked this dog a lot. We used him in our breeding program, but Tough was one very special dog. At a very young age, he had his Schützen title and his breed test, his German breed test, the CTP. And then I had the pleasure to bring him over in these days from Ruelmann kennels.
So the next was Dandy, was the next generation.
Next was Dandy, also a fantastic dog ahead of his time. Super producer, produced Club Sieger, Bundesliga, produced so many famous dogs.
Yes.
What was his What was Dandy's accolades at the time that Oliver had him?
Dandy was Schützen 3, ZTP, also at the Club Sieger show with good results, and yeah, just again a dog ahead of his time. Beautiful breed type, bone color, an Orlando son. Orlando, the top producer, some say, in the history of the breed. So, yeah, produced everything. That's all of our pedigrees today of the top dogs in Germany are product of, a lot of product of Orlando, and all that old litter was fantastic.
Oliver, can you speak on Dandy and also on some of the famous offspring that he produced?
Well, I can say that Dandy was out of our Orlando. That was my father's big pride, I can say. A dog that produced so many super dogs over almost 10 years while he was breeding. One of the most bred dogs in Germany ever. And Dandy was one of his sons that we had ourselves at that time. Dandy himself was also titled in Germany up to his Schützen title, the highest working title that you can achieve. Dandy was a very high frequented dog in the short time he was with us, because I think at the early age of around 3 years he came to the United States. Yeah. And Dandy produced several champion dogs. The most famous maybe was the U-litter from Haus Anin, a very old kennel in Germany, good friends of our family. It's funny that the circle closes from time to time again. Now some of our current dogs, also some of the new and current dogs here, carry this bloodline now maybe 8, 9, 10 generations back, but these successful dogs from the past are still present in these pedigrees, and that exactly shows the quality and the level of these dogs.
Interesting. So the next dog was who?
Next dog was Yves von Haus Neubrand. Yeah.
Explain a little bit.
Say
What
a
was
lot.
your thought process when you saw him? Why did you want to get him from Oliver?
Well, each of these dogs were special at era. In my opinion, they were the best that was anywhere available at that era, and of course from the best kennel and my friends. So, yeah, Yves. And so many pedigrees today of the top dogs in Germany and around the world. He won the Dorfmeisterschaft. What year?
2008.
2008. Schützen 3, Korung, German champion. Can we say he produced
So
again,
not
famous
just the working
dogs.
titles, but he also had
Most accomplished in my opinion, working dog for both working and show. He was V1 at the Europa Sieger. He was, this combination of show and beauty was not around before that, and I don't know if it's so hard since then to have combination of both, to be a world champion working dog and a top tier world class show dog.
Yeah, you can maybe say or add that at this time he was one of the most complete Rottweilers in the world, because he was not only gekürt, which is the highest breed test in Germany, very difficult to achieve. He was winning the Schutzhund Championship, the German Schutzhund Championship, which probably, or especially at that time, was the most prestigious working title that you can earn with a Rottweiler. And on top of that, he was a super successful show dog. He was not only a champion, he was also in the club show in the top rankings. Also we should mention he was an Oksana son, who is also a dog from the very successful O-litter back then. Orlando, as I just said, was the father of Dandy, who came here, and then a few years later came another dog from the same bloodline, out of the sister of Orlando, the Oksana, which was Eve's. And I may just add that Oksana was maybe my most successful female that I had in all these years now. She was also a gekürt female, which is very special for a female, and she was maybe one of the only females, if not the only female, that had won the hat-trick. And the hat-trick is a combination between Europasieger, Worldsieger, Bundessieger and Clubsiegerin. All these titles in one dog. So that made this female so special, and Eve's was one of her top sons that we now see in all our pedigrees, and that continues till today.
At the time that Eves came to the United States, was he was, if not the most, but one of the most accomplished Rottweilers to ever enter the United States at the time? Would you say?
For sure, at that point,
At that time?
Yeah, for what he did, what he did was, in the work and show, that's the great thing, and the few dogs that do that.
Can you touch on a little bit, once these dogs came here, what you did with them, and how those bloodlines have entered the United States through those dogs?
So we were very successful with breeding all of these dogs. They all were top producers, and we were able to produce great offspring with all the different bloodlines. That was the great thing about most of these. They matched well with everything we bred them with. So we have so many diverse bloodlines here in the United States. So you're bringing a dog from Germany with certain bloodlines, and they were bred there to certain bloodlines. And then we come here and we have so many different bloodlines, American bloodlines that are so diverse and so different. So you're outcrossing all the time, you can't line breed, so that makes it more difficult when you're always outcrossing. So these dogs were very successful producing with many different bloodlines. And that was the great part, because there were so many different dogs that bred to these dogs from so many diverse bloodlines.
So Eves came here in what year?
I think he came here late 2008, early 2009. Just a little bit after I won the German championship.
And these dogs are still visible in the pedigree today.
Yeah, so, a lot of what you do, all those dogs are still deep.
They're deep in the pedigrees of the top dogs, in my opinion, in the world today, which are Oliver's dogs still. So, I mean, Vetus, an example that has Dandy and Eves back in the pedigree. So, it's an honor to have these dogs, to have had these dogs.
So since 2008, it went on to Carl von Neubrand II, into Jumper.
So then we got Carl. That's another favorite of mine. Super dog. Eve's grandson. Many of the same traits as Eve's. Great working dog, great temperament. The key to all this is temperament. You can't have anything without temperament, and the temperament of these dogs, the character was superior. With people, with children, you could take them anywhere, and that was a different era at that time. Dogs were harder. These guys the temperament was perfect. They were strong in the work, but yet so handleable and good with people and good with everybody. So I mean, that was the difference in what they breed, and what they still breed today is the temperament and the magnificent dogs. I mean, but the temperament is so important, and the temperament's unsurpassed.
So it went from Carl to Jumper.
So then we got
Jumper.
got Jumper back
across
in
the page.
that was what year?
2014.
Yeah.
2014
Yeah.
to Urs
To Urs, also we got
in
from Oliver.
2017, 18.
Yeah. So Oliver's, we've got, in my opinion, some of the best dogs in the history of the breed come from his breeding, with his dogs in the pedigree, or dogs we've got from him. Yeah, my kennel would be nowhere today without all this. So.
If you could backtrack, we skipped one thing with Dandy. Can you talk about one of the dogs that Dandy produced that you kept? And is one
we
of
kept
the most famous dogs. That
numerous
own.
dogs from Dandy, and
But
many
one
people.
specifically, Extra.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we have a dog from Dandy that goes back a little bit. What year? Maybe 10 years ago. A dog named Extra von Ruelmann. So this was a dog that brought all the best traits of Dandy, and tough. Yeah. So that's a combination of tough and tough and Dandy to produce that. You can imagine the combination of putting those
So
two.
you used the bloodlines that you obtained from Oliver
Yeah.
with Tough and Dandy,
So the
and
bloodlines-
that created Extra von Ruelmann. And go ahead.
The bloodlines combine both of those. So this dog looked, in my opinion, like a combination of both of those. So yeah, if you can put those two dogs that were history-making dogs and of that style in one dog, yeah, that was Extra for
And would
that
you
era.
would you go on with Extra and do a dog that you produced
he was-
from Neubrand dogs?
He was an American champion. He was an international champion. He was a national champion.
Best of breed.
Best of breed. He's a very successmal dog. He's a special type. In my opinion, he was a type that was not around in this country at that time. Big head, big bones, what everybody looks for today. Was a little bit ahead of his time because you didn't see that, and he brought that to the table. Very impressive dog. But again, it comes from those two dogs, combination of those two dogs, Dandy and Tough. You just
And
look at the
Extra
other
was a
one.
successful producer as well. correct?
Produced a lot of fantastic dogs, yes, and still today, everybody bugs me about all of these dogs, semen on them and breeding to them. So yeah, it's a style of dogs that were impressive all the way through generations.
So what brings us here today is Oliver's bringing us another stud dog to continue this tradition of Neubrand dogs to von Ruelmann Kennel. Can you touch on this dog that you're bringing today?
So we're back a little bit full circle again. So we have a dog that again has Eves and Dandy in him. It's a beautiful dog.
Oliver,
I'll
can
let
you
Oliver.
touch on who
Sure,
the
sure.
dog is?
Yes, I have the pleasure to bring over Nitro from Brandauer Weg. This is about 2-year-old male. He's out of our current top stud dog Vitus, probably the best producer right now in Germany and in the world. Nitro is one of the most popular young dogs in Europe and one of the most successful young dogs over the last 1 year, 15 months. A super successful dog in the show ring. Also already has done his ADRK breed test, the CTP. And yeah, it's nice to bring him here. A super young, high potential stud dog that can continue what we have done over the last 30 years. Bob already mentioned a little bit that the circle closes here, and we have in this dog's pedigree some of the old dogs that you guys had here in the United States, just like Dandy from Haus Neubrand or Yves from Haus Neubrand.
Yeah.
And this is the combination of all these dogs over several generations. And yeah, we have a super example of it here now.
Cool. Okay, and what brings Oliver here this time? He's has brought us another very promising stud dog that he spent many hours training, and has a lot of his very famous Neubrand dogs in the pedigree. So I'll let Oliver go ahead and explain who he is and what this dog is about.
Yes, Nitro is a 2-year-old male, as I already mentioned. In the 1 year that we have showed him, he has achieved about 10 V1 ratings under probably almost 10 different judges, so he has been taken around quite a bit. He was his first show. He was right away a youth seeker in Switzerland. He went to Switzerland a few more times. He achieved the Swiss Junior Champion in the earliest possible time. Just all the shows he wins. Then the second show we went to with him as a super young dog, just 9 months. He went into the youth class 1 at the ADRK Club Show, and there, with about 40 dogs in his class, he right away went V4 at the early age of just a little bit over 9 months. In the meantime, now Nitro has achieved not only some youth champion titles. No, last year he was also, and I think that was one of his top wins, he was the club sieger in Austria under a specialist judge from Spain, and at only 1.5 years he won that adult title, which was very special, and at the same time he won best of breed in this very important show. Yes, and what else should I say?
Can you go into his pedigree a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Nitro is a son of Vitus. Vitus is, like most of you guys know, our top stud dog. One of the best producers that we had, and probably that Germany has seen for a long time. I have Nitro from a specific reason. Nitro is from an Austrian kennel, but his mother is a daughter of Quacks. Quacks goes back to Dandy, which we mentioned already earlier. Yeah. And this breeder, the head breed warden of Austria, Mr. Rabic, he made this combination with Vitus and Hexe from Brandauer Weg 3 times. The first time was the quite famous L litter. I had Louis, and I was training Louis from Brandauer Weg. After this L litter was so successful, the breeder repeated the breeding, and that was the N litter where we got Nitro from. And Nitro just followed Louis and grew into a super nice young male. And also the third litter was very successful, that's the O litter. These dogs already winning now in the youth classes, so the history continues.
How much time and what are the best qualities you see throughout that time have you spent training with Nitro?
Yes, let me just add one more thing to
Sure.
the pedigree. I do personally like this pedigree a lot, because this pedigree does not carry some of the super frequented bloodlines that have been used over the last 10-20 years that I think may not be so ideal for a complete Rottweiler. Because in a complete Rottweiler, like I just bring over here now, we want to see, I would say, 4 different factors. 4 different factors means we want, of course, a dog with a good temperament, like Bob just said, a dog that is social, that can be taken everywhere, that is not nervous, that is self-confident. On the same time, a dog that's healthy, that has good hips, good elbows, no health issues. And then on top of this, we have a third point that's of course very important for us as breeders. We want a high show quality, yes. Very beautiful dog with extremely nice details. And the fourth aspect would be the working quality. And all this combined would be the complete dog. And this package I'm trying to breed and trying to have in our breeding program. So I had now the chance to bring over Nitro. As far as training, Nitro was doing his breed test, the CDP, at a very early age, just a little bit over 18 months. 18 months, as you maybe know, is the age that you have to enter the breed test. Nitro did it with 18 and a half months or 19 months, and he did an excellent job in his breed test. He scored very high under the previous head breed warden, Mr. Ruelmann, with an excellent critique. Little explanation about the breed test, just so you know what it means. It's not only that we check that the dog has his 42 teeth and 2 testicles. No, the breed test in Germany is a full combination of a complete dog. We have a report on the dog, like a show critique, where the dog gets described very precisely, all the details from the head to the body to the angulations, all the details. Then we get full measurement on the dog, full teeth control, height, width, eye color, all the details. And then we have 2 parts on the field where the dog has to show that he's social. He has to be able to pass other dogs, other males, show that he is able to be handled. He has to be in a group of people. The group has to move. The group is closing around the dog. We have, of course, a gunshot test, which is one of the basic elements for every working breed. And on top of this test, we have a bite work routine. The bite work routine may sound a little bit rough when I say bite work, but it's a protection routine that a Schutzhund, a working breed, has to do. And in my opinion, this is very important, that every working dog or working breed that is going to be used in the breeding program at any breeder obtains a test like that. And the German Rottweiler Club, the ADRK, does his breed test like a Schutzhund 1, or now with the new naming, IGP 1 routine. In this routine, we can see a lot of qualities that we want to see in a working dog. We want to see that the dog has the will to work, that the dog has high drive, that the dog shows courage, certain amount of hardness, that that he's able to defend, and also that the dog shows qualities like grip quality, endurance, drive endurance, a very important point. And on top of this, he must be able to be handled. So also he must be smart. If he is not being able to handle, he also cannot pass a breed test. So the combination of all these factors makes it so important that we're doing these breed tests in these days.
Bouncing off of that, what do you look for in an ideal temperament that obviously comes from going through those type of testing? What do you look for in the traits of a dog that you enjoy and you think?
Well, confident, social. These are all so important for this breed, especially in this country now. So, confident, social, good with people, but yet is the true Rottweiler. So it does, like Oliver said, it's got the breed test, which is so very important and so few dogs have anymore. It's important for breeding. It tests both temperament, structure, courage, everything that the breed is about. So it's a main reason, it's another important tool for us as breeders to use when we breed. So we know what combination, what we bring to the table with the males and what we bring to the table with the females. We have to have the total Rottweiler, which is what he produces and
So,
what this dog is.
knowing those things, what's the benefit of that when producing puppies for your average person that's looking for not just a show dog or a working dog, but a family dog?
So over 40 years, we've been doing this, and it's a mainstay in what we produce. So we've not only produced beautiful dogs, many champions, Untitled American champions, which was very few dogs accomplish such a thing. We've had many of them. I can name many of them. It's a difficult thing to do. You don't see it anymore. You don't see working titled dogs get an American championship. This is what we've done over these years. It's the correct temperament, and it's dogs that are handleable, so people can enjoy them. You can do the work. You can also show them, and you can live with them, and they're enjoyable to live with. I mean, that's the purpose. So over these years, we've been, very successful with production of many things that we've made history with in this country with what we've produced over the years.
And you're also able to produce these type of dogs by having the knowledge, going and owning these dogs and having the knowledge of the pedigrees and also owning all these dogs over a 40-year time period. The same for Oliver, right? Go into that of how you're able, then your average person that may just be, you know, has a female and they breed it to a stud dog that they may not own or they know. Explain the benefits of owning these dogs.
So what's different today is most breeders don't know what they're breeding. They don't have any history with the bloodlines. So you're going back so many years with the history of these bloodlines that we know. So I know what I'm producing with these dogs and what we're going to get out of them because we so many years of these bloodlines. So that's what's lacking in today in what they breed. They don't know what they're breeding. So they don't have a clue to the traits that they're bringing to the table. So when they evaluate puppies, they don't know what the bloodline brings. So when I look at puppies, you know, I see common traits that I've seen many times over from those bloodlines. So I know what this puppy is going to be potentially later on, the temperament. So it's so important to place the right dog to be able to produce the right temperament and then place that in the right home where he can accomplish what he was bred to do, which is hard to do today.
Oliver, let me ask you a hot button question. Explain to me what you like to look for and what a Rottweiler head type should be.
Yeah, interesting question. Quite a lot of people discuss about this question. It is no question that we all want a very strong and powerful head type. We have been discussing this also in Germany, and also the standard has been modified a little bit over the last years. What is important is that we see a head with a broad muscle, with a good cheek fill and a good overhead. The stop should be very pronounced but should not be over extreme. And what I personally like a lot in a dog is that the eye set and the eye shape is in a very good order, and that we have a good size ear on the dog in a good position. And of course I like to see details, yes. Especially now when I look at the Nitro that I'm bringing here now, super lip line, super eye line, very nice dark eyes, black mouth. These are things that I love to see in a Rottweiler head. Very important for me is that when you look at a dog, you need to see expression. It doesn't need to be the biggest head, it doesn't need to be the most extreme head. That's always not important for me. For me it's important that I walk by a dog and I see, okay, this is nice, this is expression. The dog can show just with one look. You see, oh, that's nice, he has something. No? And that's what's very important for us. That's what we also look when we make our breeding decisions, that the dog attracts us, and therefore we need type. But we must be careful. It must be a Rottweiler type. And unfortunately today we see sometimes the extremes going in too many different directions. We see, especially in Germany, some of my friends from the working fields, they are going too extreme on the working side. Certain dogs, they don't look like Rottweilers anymore. They look like a Pinscher or like a Doberman. This is not what we want. On the other side, some of my friends from the show rings, they have dogs, I would say they look like a Bull Mastiff more, or like a black and tan boxer, but not like a Rottweiler. A Rottweiler still has a big head, a large head, not a very short head with a short muscle. It must be a strong and powerful muscle, with a strong stop, but not with an overdone stop, with a nice overhead, but not with a balloon on his head. So there's a lot of things that we have to watch in these head types. And of course, the responsibility is with every breeder to produce a correct dog, keep the breed correct, keep the type correct, and not going in too many different directions.
Let me ask you this. Can you explain to me where you think the Rottweiler world is right now? What's your opinion on it? Can you touch on that, of just where the breed is as a whole, of where it's going, or the difference maybe of how things have changed. Can you touch on that?
I for sure can talk a little bit about this. I think the Rottweiler breed is one of the most popular breeds overall in the world. We have a huge amount of Rottweiler fans everywhere, and many people have one time a Rottweiler and then they have always a Rottweiler because it's a breed for your heart. In the Rottweiler world, we have to be a bit careful. First, like I just said, we have people that going too much in certain extremes, not stay in the middle for a complete dog. They go in certain ways, and we have to be very careful. And then, of course, what I always try to tell the people, and what I also try to live myself, that we keep a complete dog. A Rottweiler is, as you all know, a working breed, and a working breed should stay a working breed. We want a strong dog, also a social dog, but we don't want a Labrador or a Golden Retriever. This is a breed for another purpose. We have a Rottweiler, it's a working dog, and a working dog should be able to protect your family. It should be able to protect your wife when she goes with the trolley in the night for a walk. All these things that we want in a Rottweiler. At the same time, he should be able to sleep on the couch and the baby should sleep next to him. That shouldn't be a problem. All these things are very important. But we want that the dog has his working qualities and his temperament qualities to be able to protect you and to do all these things. We want our Rottweilers still be able to go into police work, into military work, into security companies. It's a working breed, and we don't want to go away from that. We want to keep it complete. And then there's unfortunately also a big problem in the Rottweiler world, like it is in many dog breeds. Too many people concentrate on fighting in their clubs, in their certain organizations, instead of concentrating on the dogs. I feel if I sometimes scroll through my social media, people have so many problems talking about other people. I always would prefer if these guys and all these people just take a dog, take it out, get to train the dog, do a BH, do a breed test, prepare him proper for the shows that you maybe go, and not only stand on the side and talk about it. So this is something that I recommend always. Go out and do something with the dog, stay on the base, stay with the dogs, and not only talk about it. Very important.
Bouncing off that, can you explain maybe the importance of that complete Rottweiler and the type of calls that you get where you have somebody just asking for a working dog, or not knowing the difference between a complete Rottweiler, and they're thinking, well, is this a working line dog, or is this a show dog, or can you explain there shouldn't be a separation of the two?
Yeah, I go back to what Oliver said. I mean, it needs to be the complete breed. It needs to be good in all facets of what it was bred for. In my opinion, it's the Rolls Royce of all dogs. The best of all worlds. They protect, they're beautiful, they're great companions. It's the best of everything. So, I mean, yeah, they can be used for everything. So, to put them in the right home where they can be utilized for what they're bred for is so important. And that's our task as a breeder, to make sure we get them in the right
So
scenario.
there necessarily shouldn't be a breeder that says they're breeding necessarily strictly this is a working Rottweiler. It shouldn't look good.
So it should
There
be the
shouldn't
complete breed. It's the complete dog. It should be able to work. It should be able to be a beautiful dog, and it should be a great companion. This is the great thing about this breed. So when you put all those together, like Oliver said, once a Rottweiler owner, always a Rottweiler owner. We have people that buy dogs that bought dogs from us 38 years ago, 40 years ago, that still are getting dogs. Still will not separate from the breed. It's the only dog they would ever own. There's so many stories of dogs that this breed. They save your life. They save your life in many different ways. Just so many stories. It's just the Rolls Royce of all dogs.
So in closing, Oliver, can you touch on where people can, what your website is, where they can find you on those. And then also, can you just touch a little bit of what, on a busy schedule, your traveling schedule looks like, of traveling to these different countries and doing the seminars that you do?
Sure. Well, you can find me online everywhere. Our website is Neubrand/rottweilers.de, and you can find our kennel also, of course, on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Just type in Neubrand Rottweilers. You will find us everywhere. Yes, since many years, I'm also traveling around the world as an instructor for seminars for working dogs. Mostly for training Rottweilers, but also I'm invited to many all-breed clubs or all-breed training groups. Yes, it's not many countries I have not been traveling to over the last couple of years, so it's nice to be back in the US also this year.
So on a plane, maybe once a month at your busiest, going to, what are some examples of countries you've been going to?
Oh, well, it's easy. If you just look at the last 2-3 months, I have been in November, I have been in 3 German seminars. I have been in the United States. In December, I went to France to have a seminar. I went to Thailand to compete at an international championship. Now I'm here at the beginning of the year in Los Angeles, Riverside. Next week I'm in Spain for the next seminar in Alicante. Guys, I'm looking forward to this. And then it goes on. Greece in February, Bermuda, everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, if you haven't been to one of the seminars, I highly recommend it, because you will learn what makes the breed tick. Not only how to train, but what up inside in their brain. You'll learn so much from him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, if you have opportunity to go to any of these seminars, I can't say it enough, you should go. If you're a Rottweiler owner or you're a connoisseur of the breed and you want to learn about the breed and you want to learn how to train, there is no better Rottweiler trainer in the world. So we thank you guys for watching. You can find Von Ruelmann at vr-rottweilers.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram just under Von Ruelmann. And we appreciate you guys watching, and thank you.